Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It is Sunday, March 12th of 2023. I am Reverend Dr. Kate R. Walker. I use the she, her pronouns, and I am honored to serve as the minister of this wonderful, wonderful community. And for those of you with visual disabilities, I am a 60-year-old white female with light brown hair in a pixie cut now. I wear glasses. I am wearing a black clergy robe and a religious stole. And what a wonderful way to begin our service. Thank you for the Gamelan Orchestra, special guests this morning. And for those of you who did indeed survive the time change, thank you for being here. And for all of you who are on YouTube now or in the future, we are so grateful that you chose to be with us this morning. You are all very welcome here. If this is your very first time with us, a special extension of gratitude for being with us. If you are on YouTube, please check us out on our website. Just Google First Unitarian Pittsburgh, you'll find us. And on our website, down at the bottom is an invitation to fill out a form for our newsletter. And we want to be in touch with you. Send us your email, contact information, and you can get connected to this community. And if you're here in person and you haven't yet connected to our welcome desk, is right here in the garden lobby. And we'll be glad to find out who you are. And we have so many activities and a wonderful music program to entice you with. We are a community of Unitarian Universalists, many beliefs, many origins and sexualities and gender expressions. We're a multi-faith religious community where all are welcome. Diversity is celebrated and questions are expected. We are growing, we are loved, we are learning. And if you are also on YouTube in the live tense, you are welcome to join a small dedicated group on Zoom following the service. For discussion, you can send an email to First Unitarian Pittsburgh, that's one word, firstunitarianpittsburgh@gmail.com. And I will say, for those of you lucky enough to be here in person, we do have a social hour following the service downstairs. And I will tell you that the family social hour is back as well. And it is after the service as well, right downstairs. Just follow the raucous noise and you'll find them in their own room. That's in the Harper room, downstairs in the Harper room. Just follow the raucous noise and you'll get it. So I want to make sure in terms of announcements that you are all paying attention to that in June, the third week of June, Pittsburgh is hosting the annual meeting of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And you are welcome to register. There's an early bird discounts, already missed one. There's another one at the end of March where the price goes up. But if you just go to uua.org and look up General Assembly, it's down at the bottom of the page, you can find out all about if this annual meeting of our association begins on Wednesday, June 21st on the solstice. And I would love to see you all there and goes through to Sunday. So please, and if you are interested in being a delegate, please let myself know or a member of the board. We'll pass it on to the appropriate people and you're welcome to be a delegate. We just need to be board appointed for that. So I invite you to please take a deep breath and arrive in this time and space. Find that sense of your body as you sit and be present. Feel connected to one another. We turn now to our chalice lighting, the symbol of our faith as Unitarian Universalists. This chalice burns bright in our faith, connecting us to our past, and the present, and the future. And may this flame, this circle of love, remind you of the journey that we are on as religious human beings seeking answers to our questions, and for many on a spiritual path, looking looking and seeking and finding. Welcome to you all. I invite you to stand as you are able in body or spirit. 347, gather the Spirit. This morning we are talking about spirituality, this spiritual experience. And I want to show you one easy, accessible way to kind of bring your mind into focus, because that's one of the big barriers to having a spiritual experience or sensing of who you are outside of the busy mind. So in easy ways. So if you have a hand, could you show me? Yeah, you have a hand? Good. Just now, either hand or both if you're really, one of those people that likes to overachieve. Okay? Yeah, the overachievers, no, you guys in the back row. So, yeah, a hand, okay? And we're going to do kind of a hand dance or meditation. You just kind of look at your hand. You can touch it with the other hand if you want. But for the most part, a body part is available, right? You could use a toe if you want. You could, use an elbow if you could see the whole thing, or a knee, ankle. But right now we're going to do the hand. And just kind of gently move it, like see if you can feel the air. And just focus on your hand. Nothing else, nothing behind it, nothing that it's attached to. If you have jewelry on, that's part of your hand. Look to see if you're up to date on your manicure. Maybe just gently, how about just give it a wiggle? Just give it a wiggle. How about a big wiggle? All right. Whoa, get some tension out. And then just see if, give yourself a wave. Oh. I want you to think about how much you love your hand. How much you love your hand. Wow. Wow, what a beautiful part of the evolution of humanity. Wow. And the thumb, maybe give the thumb a love. That index finger. Oh, middle finger, don't hold that up. But it's there if you need it. What we call the ring finger. And the pinky. And now, if you're a pianist, you start with a thumb and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I also have to recognize my gratitude because this is really ableist that we all have this incredible gift. People who've been through war or disabilities may not have this gift. Oh, I have such gratitude and love. And look, it has a matching set. So if you just spend a few moments focusing our very busy minds on a beautiful part of our evolution, our humanity, our bodies, they can dance, they can rub and make the sounds, they can clap. Enjoy and appreciation, or they can be silent. So if your mind is having an overproductive moment and you need to just focus, try what's readily accessible. Our hand, just focus. And give that busy mind a rest. A rest. Say thank you, hand. Go ahead. Okay. I love you, hand. All right, now you sound weird. That's good. We're going to send our children out with their beautiful feet, their hands guiding them. I need to tell you, the sixth graders are invited to join the middle school class today in the Priestley room, okay? In the Priestley room. So a little bit of direction, and we're gonna sing our children out. The words are in your order of service. And thank you to all of you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Jay Arms. I'm the founder and director of the Pittsburgh Community Gamelan, which is the music ensemble that's been opened the service today, and we'll play another piece later on to close it out. I just wanted to take a minute to introduce the group and thank the church for hosting us here today to share our music with you, share some of our knowledge about Indonesia and its cultures, and for allowing us to rehearse in this space. It's been a really productive collaboration for us. So the ensemble we have up here today is called a Degun. It is one of many varieties of gamelan you might find from the nation of Indonesia, which of course is the fourth most populous nation in the world. In Southeast Asia, over 270 million people, and many different kinds of gamelan music. The Degun is a kind of gamelan that comes from the western part of the island of Java, the most populous island in Indonesia and the most populous island in the world, actually. The music comes from the Sundanese people, and it is one of many genres you might hear. Today we're playing two pieces that represent two different kinds of music from there. The first one you heard was Kunang Kunang, which is sort of a classic piece from the early 20th century, sort of a simple composition that was taught to my teacher by his grandfather, who was a very prominent composer in the 1920s. And the second piece we'll play later on is a contemporary composition which reimagines sort of a Balinese style of playing gamelan on a Sundanese set of instruments. Later on today, after the service, we'll have a little workshop where if you would like to try out the instruments, learn some of the playing techniques, explore the sounds a little bit more, we'd be very happy to welcome you up here. But we ask that you observe some of the cultural customs that you might notice our musicians observing. For example, we play without any shoes on. We remove our shoes to keep the area where we play clean as we sit on the floor with the instruments and keep the instruments in good shape. And also not to step over the instruments out of respect for them as entities, and also to not trip over them and hurt yourselves. So if you're interested, we would love to share this music with you even more beyond just playing for you, but engaging you and showing you a little bit how to play it. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for having us as part of your service this morning.
Good morning. Every month we share our generosity with a designated organization. So for the month of March, we are designating Reading Ready Pittsburgh. And so all donations will be shared 50-50 with this organization unless otherwise designated. Our religious community is made up of volunteers and staff, creating and hosting a wide variety of programming, and we rely on your financial support. In addition to the collection plate, you can donate by texting GIVE to 412-435-1050 and following direction. Please check the end of your order of service for more directions. The offering will now be taken.
Thank you so much. It is such a treat to have all of you here today. Oh, my beloved, the joys and the sorrows of our lives. And I hope that as you meet one another, coffee shop, social hour, on the phone, Facebook, that you share those joys and sorrows with one another. We do hold in our hearts Ward Kelsey, who is hospitalized but recovering from foot surgery on Friday. And I understand his personality is alive and well. He hopefully will be out early this next week. Yeah. And we want to also hold in our hearts his wife, Elmar, who must bear this ongoing challenge with Ward's health. We also have really good news. Sue Erkfitz, who had major knee surgery in February, is doing really well. She is at home, but you've probably already seen her pop up on Zoom in various meetings. And so we are wishing our love to both Sue and Ward. For all of you who are holding joys and sorrows in your hearts, please know that you do not journey alone. We are here with you always. I invite you into a period of personal prayer and meditation, and I've asked Ellen to add a little bit of rhythm to this meditation, as I'll talk about during my sermon the importance of drumming and a rhythm in the art of creating a spiritual experience. The drum is one of the most ancient forms of meditation, of worship. It helps synchronize our bodies with our heart and the pulsating of our blood. I invite you to join your hearts with mine in prayer. Spirit of life and love, hold us in your firm embrace. Spirit of love, lift our hearts when we find ourselves are broken. Help us mend when we find the wounds of life are too deep. When we look out into the world and we see so much pain and suffering, remind us of our capacity to heal and to love this world. Ease our fears and our anxieties. Ease our attachments to outcomes we cannot control. Spirit of community, remind us that we do not journey alone. As we hold in our hearts all the people throughout this world in such pain and fear, may we all be guided that we are connected to one another, that we are held with love, and the Spirit of the Holy, the God of many names, who has been with us throughout the ages, the God of peace and justice, Atman Brahman, Dharma, beauty, love, be with us. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to remain seated as we sing number 8, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit.
The reading for this morning is Reformation, the Spirit of the Wind, by Reverend Kristen Harper. Some say the spirit of the wind is in the trees. You can see it, they say, if you close your eyes and stand real still. Some say that same spirit lives in the hills, forging mountains and plains. I smelled it the other night, lying in my bed, my window cracked. It crept through the moonlight, up under my pillow, and wrapped its arms around me. Entering my blood through my skin, I felt alive with an age I had not yet reached. Made new again in a form I'd never known. I cried out in pain and joy mingled, fear and expectation, ecstasy it has been called. I called it reformation. There was forgiveness in that spirit, compassion for my wounds, strength for my weaknesses. It was no miracle, no nirvana. I just closed my eyes and saw the Spirit in the wind, the Spirit in the trees, the Spirit that lives in me.
When I was in seminary in Berkeley, California, I lived with an older couple in Hayward, which was just a little bit south of Berkeley. It was an older couple, Wink and Helen Smith. In exchange for room and board, I cooked for them, did their grocery shopping, and some light gardening work. And they took me in with love and care, along with my dog and my cat. We really got to know each other. They were both longtime Unitarian Universalists, humanists, secular humanists. And one day at dinner, Wink clearly had something on his mind, and you could see him building up his courage. And he said, "Kate, what is this spirituality?" And he said it with like a little bit of consternation, a lot of confusion, and a little irritation, because it was challenging him. Wink was typical of an older generation of Unitarian Universalists, particularly those from our secular humanist, thriving lifestyle. They're not really being comfortable with vague, abstract words like spiritual, as well as some other more liturgical language. But Wink was tapping something, and this was almost 30 years ago. He was tapping the change in the wind. You may be interested to know, and relevant today, that some sociologists use Unitarian Universalists as kind of a barometer of change in the wind in the larger culture. As the larger culture changes, becomes more pluralistic, maybe less secular, Unitarians and Universalists seem to be in sync. As we have become more spiritual and attuned to that, so has the country. Late Unitarian Universalist minister Forrest Church wrote, "In Unitarian circles, we're beginning to complement the work of the mind with the work of the heart and the work of the soul. I recognize in my own congregation a growing hunger for spirituality." And he wrote that back in 1999. Then there's Unitarian Universalist Reverend Scott Alexander, who wrote, "The last generation of Unitarian Universalists were fleeing Methodism, Roman Catholicism, and Judaism. What this generation is fleeing is the emptiness of the culture." This increased desire for spirituality also appeared in the survey that the search committee conducted here at First Unitarian Church for your new minister. Many of you said, "We want more spirituality. We want a minister that can guide us in that." There's challenges with that. And this month, the theme of the month is on power. There are connections between power and spiritual, both internally and externally. Many people, particularly the younger generations, are yearning for a powerful, life-changing spiritual experience, or yearning to tap a type of power that is only found deep within their own being, and they want to learn how to cultivate that, or perhaps connect to a power that's part of the larger universe. Yet many do not know the pathway. They don't know the questions to ask, why they're seeking it, what they're seeking, never mind which direction to begin their journey. And even I, as one who was raised Unitarian Universalist, I had to unpack spiritual, particularly in contrast to religion. Being enrolled in seminary, it seemed important to understand this. In fact, spiritual versus religious is what a lot of younger people are saying. We're spiritual, but we're not religious. as if the two were completely separate experiences and entities. I have to tell you, this conversation was quite heated and raucous at times in the hallways and classrooms during seminary. So here's kind of an overview of spiritual versus religious. Spiritual is fundamentally experiential. It's not theoretical or analytical like this sermon. If you have a spiritual experience during my sermon, please let me know. I'm going to be really impressed with myself. Spiritual is deeply personal. Our emotions are deeply tied. Our values, our brain chemistry kicks in. And there's been one study, not repeated, there might be some genetic markers involved as well. Religious involves memes or self-replicating units of culture, ideas that are passed on through writing, through speech and ritual and imitation. Religious involves an institution, organized activity. And for those who are familiar with William James's books, varieties of the religious experience, I am not using his definition, which is more generalized. The religious experience is one that takes place within the context of an institution due to memes. And this is what's cool. There is an intersection between religious and spiritual because religion was built upon the spiritual feelings, the beliefs, the experiences. Religion didn't just pop up because somebody wanted to build something. It came out of the human experience. Many theologians and religious leaders say that spiritual is marked by a sense of self-transcendence. It's noted by three experiences. What is self-transcendence? Self-forgetfulness. We forget where and when we are. A deep and profound connection to nature is very common. And a recognition that there's something greater than oneself. A mystical experience is often described. So let me unpack this a little bit more. Self-transcendent is at the heart of the spiritual experience. It is, for those who have never had a transcendent experience, they still see the divisions between you and I, between people. Those who have experienced it but recognize a oneness in all, that we're connected. It's not always sustained. It can pop in and out. There's a self-forgetfulness. We get into the zone. We lose track of time. And this is something that is usually guided or invited in. You create a space for this. If you're doing it while you're driving, please stop. There's a connection to nature. Now, Unitarian Universalists, many of us have a profound connection to nature. In fact, as a child, for me, I know going camping, going hiking, going canoeing, that, for me, was going to church. That's where my spirit was deeply renewed. But many don't recognize that explicitly you can have a spiritual experience by just being out in nature, listening to the wind and the pine trees. It is profoundly intimate and emotive physical experience. And then we start getting all mystical. Now, this is the last category that can be difficult for Unitarian Universalists because we like rational materialism. We don't really like people who say, oh, it was a mystical moment. And we're like, what? What's that? Tell me what that is. Give me evidence. But notably, it's deep in our roots and deep in our DNA. This is the route of the territory of the New England transcendentalists, many of whom were Unitarians. It's a recognition that our reasoned mind can't measure or cognitively quantify. It's a deeply personal experience, again, that we can't and shouldn't have to explain. Now, if you're feeling challenged by this, it's entering into a different way of knowing things that's found in the body, and it has a long tradition in many world religions. Judaism with the Kabbalah, Hindu, so many threads of the mystical experience and spirituality, too numerous to name. Muslims with the Sufi, Turkish threads, particularly you probably know of Rumi. The whirling dervishes was a very mystical experience that came out of, that connected to the whirling dervishes and the dancing. The Christian, particularly the Middle Ages of Catholicism, where we have Hildegard of Bingen, Meister Eckhart, Julian of Norwich, St. John of the Cross, St. Thomas Aquinas, all mystics of their age. Unitarian Universalists have a particular love affair with Hildegard. She is actually the author of our closing hymn, and she was such a proficient composer and author. She immersed herself in work and had profound connection to nature, often writing about the connection to divinity and to love and to the beauty of the universe and universal love of the God. She had a very, very powerful vision of claiming her own divinity. That was radical in the Middle Ages for a woman to do that. As she wrote, every creature is a glittering, glistening mirror of divinity. Imagine teaching our children that. What an extraordinary gift to be told from a young age, you are a glittering, glistening mirror of divinity. Put that on their wall. Let them know they are a part of the glittering, glistening beauty of the universe. We've had increasing influence from our Eastern religions, Buddhism and Hinduism, but they have a different sense of God. It's like an external consciousness, or what Ralph Waldo Emerson called the oversoul. The Hindu Upanishads, beautiful quote. As the river flowing east and west merge in the sea and become one, if, forgetting that they were ever separate rivers, so do all creatures lose their separateness when they merge at last into one. Beautiful image of rivers merging into a consciousness. It speaks to the ancient mystical experiences, as Hinduism is one of our oldest threads of the human experience. Buddhism, where it focuses on letting go of our attachments, of seeing life's orientation to suffering, and to end that cycle of birth and death and becoming one with the universe. There are many, many tools to this kind of self-transcendence, both religious and not. I have to say, drugs are popular, both legal and not so legal, to gain altered states of consciousness and reality, from LSD to peyote and mushrooms and other chemical ingredients that are meant to change the chemistry of our brain. Plant and mushrooms have deep historical connections to indigenous people. They use it in very time-honored rituals and cultural practices, not recreationally. It is a religious. That is a cultural meme that they have passed on for generations. Of course, we also know of meditation and yoga and prayer and music and dance, gardening and drumming. One of the most ancient forms of synchronizing our bodies. Drumming in particular gets into that part of our brain that we can synchronize with in our heart if we let go and merge with the sound. It can guide us, whether we're listening or playing. We can see this with the popularity in the late 1970s and 1980s. I don't know how many of you remember the emergence of house music out of Chicago. I was listening to a podcast about it this week. Fascinating history. It emerged out of a reaction to disco and its inherent racism. When the black community connected to their house parties and started creating house music, deeply rhythmic, digital music that then kind of metamorphosized into a worldwide digital music industry. And when people, they talk about it from the beginnings, it is a spiritual experience. Again and again, they feel a sense of self-transcendence and forgetfulness. What a powerful experience for our young people. And I find house parties and house music much more healthy than perhaps it's a potentially very dangerous zone to start messing with our brain chemistry through drugs. And this is just a side note. We have so many people that are trying to forget themselves, but it's not a spiritual experience, it's an emotional experience they are seeking, a relief from their own suffering. Story that I read several years ago. Some of you of the older generation may remember Chi-Chi Chong, and Tommy Chong of Chi-Chi Chong, right? Heavy drug user, known for decades of his heavy drug use. Finally ended up in jail, went cold turkey. And then when he got out, he stayed off the drugs, and he said that's when his spiritual life really took root. My most profound mystical experience happened in the summer of 2006. It was shortly after my mother died. I was emotionally a mess. My dog died a month after my mother. Boy, really tipped me. I signed up for a 3-day yoga and deep meditation class on the beach in Rhode Island. Friday night, yoga, meditation. Saturday, yoga, meditation. Sunday morning, yoga, meditation on the beach. I could feel myself going deeper and deeper and relaxing, letting go of the layers of grief. Sunday afternoon, we were invited into various exercises of deepening our sense of who we are and then letting go. Who am I? And letting go. Like that beautiful hymn we just sang, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, who am I? I was letting go. And the layers as I got deeper and deeper. And I started having images of the universe that are really beyond description. But I remember one, an image of a tree, great big oak tree. Maybe it was the Bodhi tree. It doesn't matter. And as it then disintegrated in my heart and mind, I felt at one, and I realized I am nothing. And at the same time, I let go of all that I am, and I realized I am nothing. I started to laugh, hysterically. Laugh. It was a giggle that started at first and it just got louder and louder. It was a bit rude in the class, I gotta say, because everybody was quiet. And then there's me going, and I felt like I was part of a cosmic joke. Some sort of a cosmic joke of deep laughter. I tried to quiet as best I could. I was never the same. I can't replicate it easily, but it is there in my heart and my mind. My family said to me afterwards, something shifted in you. It was stunning, stunning. I had to ask, what was that? I was raised UU. What was that? We have a long history with the tension between reason and revelation. So what does science say about the spiritual experience? Let's take a short detour here. It's an important one. Out of the Penn State, we have Andrew Newberg and Eugene Acadeli. who are brain scanners, and they had some monks come in, and they had some nuns come in, and they said, go into meditation, go into your deep prayer, and they ran them through some brain scans, and they did it before and an after. Before they went into deep meditation and prayer, and then during and after. And what they discovered is that during the meditation, during the prayer, when they felt most at one with the universe or God, whatever language they used, the part of the brain that has to do with spatial relationship, spatial who you and I, that contact completely dropped down. There were no boundaries in their brains, no divisions, no separation. One with the universe. This is what they said in their book. Gradually, we shaped a hypothesis that suggests that spiritual experience at its very roots is intimately interwoven into human biology. That biology in some way compels the spiritual urge. In other words, the scan suggested the experience, it's not a hallucination. It's not a bundle of nerve wirings and chemical imbalances that have gone off the deep end. They said that allows humans to transcend the material existence and acknowledge and connect with a deeper, more spiritual part of ourselves as an absolute reality that connects us to all that is. It can be a profound source of healing when our wounds are deep and we're reminded we are one with each other. It helps us let go of grief and old stories that we've been carrying along for too long on our journeys. And if some of this is not making sense to you, good. That's progress. Because it's not about making sense. For those who are seeking a spiritual experience but not the religious, here's the challenge that I, who have been called as your minister, is I can't create a spiritual experience for you. I can't do it for anyone. I can invite you into spaces. I can encourage you to cultivate drumming, chanting, dancing. I can encourage you to practice meditation, prayer, chanting, yoga. I can point you toward the journey, but I can't tell you where your journey goes. The experience is rarely unbidden. It just pops up. But when it does, when you're able to cultivate it, wow. And if you have not noticed, the one barrier is our busy minds, constantly engaged. So my best advice is the advice that I gave to Wink that night at dinner. See, Wink was a hydrologist for the county, which meant every time it rained, and this is Northern California, that was about 6 months of the year, every time it rained, he jumped in his truck and went up into the mountains to measure the water. And he frequently talked about what a joyful experience it was for him to be sitting there in the hillside measuring water, rain pouring down on him, and how happy he was doing that. And I said, Wink, that was your spiritual experience. And he said, that's it? And I said, yeah, that's it. That for you is your spiritual moment. He paused, and I think he headed up into the mountains the next day. My best advice to you, my beloved, show up, begin cultivating, look for the path that is yours, embrace it, and if you need to, shift to a different one if it's not working, but give it time. Give it time. Breaking down the walls of our busy conscious mind is the biggest barrier. And I can testify the payoff is powerful. It's magnificent. I have had many spiritual experiences, not on the level of the one that I had with the laughter, but I have them all the time. It's extraordinary. Hildegard wrote, humanity can take a look at yourself. Inside, you've got heaven and earth and all of creation. You're a world. Everything is hidden within you. Go forth and seek the world within you. Blessed be. I invite you to stand as you're able, in body and spirit, for the words of the great Hildegard of Bingen, number 27, I am that great and fiery force. I invite you to remain standing as we extinguish our chalice. The words are in our heart as well as our program. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go forth into this world, my beloved. Go forth into this world and seek the experiences that shake you up, shift your lens, reorient you to all that is within you and all that you are connected with. Call it a spiritual experience if you want. It doesn't really matter. It is about being a spiritual journey with a religious life. Return again in love. Blessed be.